If you drive rideshare in a major city long enough, you lose the ability to be surprised. Or at least, that's what I used to tell myself. I've been driving the night shift for 3 years. The vampire shift, some guys call it. 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. It's a different world when the sun goes down. The city sheds its skin. You get the drunks, the shift workers, the desperate, and the lonely. I thought I'd seen it all. People having sex in my back seat, people overdosing, people crying because they just lost everything at the casino. You learn to become numb. You turn up the radio, keep your eyes on the GPS, and just focus on the dollar amount ticking up on the app screen. I needed the money. My rent was late, my car payments were behind, and debt was eating me alive. That's the only reason I was still on the road that Tuesday morning. It was 3:15 a.m., a dead time. The bars had closed hours ago, and the early morning airport runs hadn't started yet. I was parked near an industrial park on the far west side of town, near the edge of the forest preserve. I was just about to log off, call it a night, and accept the mediocre earnings. My eyes felt like they were filled with sand. Then, the app pinged. It was a ride request way out on the edge of the service area. A single name appeared on the screen. Elias. 4.9-star rating. That rating is the only reason I accepted it. I drove towards the pickup pin. It led me away from the warehouses and streetlights, down a road that quickly turned from asphalt to cracked gravel. The GPS said I had arrived, but there was nothing there. Just trees lining both sides of the road, pressing in tight. No houses, no businesses. I sat idling for a moment, debating canceling. The hair on my arms was standing up. It was too quiet out here. Then my headlights caught movement. A man stepped out from the tree line. He hadn't been waiting by the road. He had been waiting inside the woods. I unlocked the doors, instantly regretting it. He opened the back door and slid in. The interior light flickered on for a second, giving me a glimpse. He was tall, incredibly tall, having to fold himself awkwardly into the back of my Prius. He wore a heavy, outdated wool coat that looked damp. His skin was pale, like dough left out too long, and his eyes seemed too large for his face. But it was the smell that hit me first. It wasn't body odor or alcohol. It smelled like wet soil, copper, and ozone, like the air right before a massive thunderstorm breaks. "Heading to the destination on the app?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He didn't blink. He just stared at the back of my head through the rearview mirror. "No," he said. His voice was deep and raspy, sounds vibrating in his chest that didn't feel human. "We need to stop first." I sighed internally. I hated unscheduled stops. "Sir, you have to add the stop in the app. Otherwise, I can't take you." "I don't have a phone," he replied calmly. "I will pay cash for the detour." Before I could argue, a crumpled wad of bills landed in the front passenger seat. I glanced over. It was $300 bills. $300 just for a stop. The debt collector's voice in my head screamed at me to take it. "Okay," I said, my throat tight. "Where to?" "Sustenance," he said. "We need the Golden Arches, the one on Route 9. It is the only one open." He meant McDonald's. It was bizarre to hear someone call it sustenance in that gravelly voice, but for $300, I'd drive him to the moon. We drove in silence for 10 minutes. He didn't move in the back seat. He didn't look at his phone. He just breathed, a heavy, wet sound that seemed too loud in the small car. We pulled into the McDonald's drive-thru. It was brightly lit, a beacon of artificial normalcy in the dark night. The speaker crackled to life with a tired employee's voice. "Go ahead with your order." I looked in the rearview mirror. "What do you want, man?" Elias leaned forward, his face inches from the gap between the front seats. The smell of wet earth intensified. 50, he said. I frowned. 50 what? Nuggets? 50 cheeseburgers. Plain. Just meat and cheese. I stared at him. "Are you serious?" His eyes widened slightly, and I realized he hadn't blinked once since getting in the car. "Very serious. They are waiting." I turned back to the speaker, feeling ridiculous. Yeah, I need 50 cheeseburgers. 50. Plain." Silence from the speaker. Then, "Say again." 50 plain cheeseburgers, please." The employee sighed, a sound of pure, defeated exhaustion. "That's gonna take like 20 minutes, dude. You have to pull forward to the waiting spot." "No," he said. His voice was deep and raspy, sounds vibrating in his chest that didn't feel human. "We need to stop first." We parked and waited. It was the longest 20 minutes of my life. The tension in the car was suffocating. Elias was vibrating with a strange energy now. He kept tapping his long fingers on his knees, a rapid clicking rhythm. "A big party tonight?" I asked, trying to break the tension. It was a stupid question. It was nearly 4 a.m. on a Tuesday. He turned his head slowly to look at me. "A gathering, yes. It has been a long winter. They are very hungry." I didn't ask who they were. I didn't want to know. Finally, an employee came out, struggling with 3 massive paper bags greased through at the bottom. The smell of cheap beef, processed cheese, and salt flooded the car the moment I rolled down the window. It was nauseatingly strong. I handed the bags back to Elias. He didn't say thank you. He just cradled the bags like they were precious cargo, inhaling deeply. The tapping on his knees got faster. "Now," he whispered, his voice trembling with anticipation, "take me to the end." I followed the GPS line to the final destination. It led us away from the main roads, back towards the forest preserve, but much deeper this time. The paved road ended, turning into a narrow dirt track barely wide enough for my car. Branches scraped against the doors, sounding like fingernails dragging on metal. There were no streetlights here. The only illumination came from my high beams, cutting a narrow cone through the dense trees. The woods felt ancient here, oppressive. The GPS announced, "Arrived," in the middle of absolutely nowhere. It was a small, dead-end turnaround surrounded by thick brush. "Stop here," Elias commanded. I put the car in park, keeping the engine running. My heart was hammering against my ribs. I just wanted him out of my car. I wanted the smell of earth and grease gone. Elias opened the door. The cold night air rushed in. He didn't grab the bags immediately. He stood outside the car, tall and imposing against the tree line. He tilted his head back and let out a sound. It wasn't a scream. It was a low, throbbing hum that seemed to vibrate in my own teeth. It lasted for 10 seconds. Silence followed. Then, from deep within the woods, sounds answered. Rustling leaves, snapping branches, not just in one spot, but from everywhere. It sounded like dozens of things moving towards us, fast. Elias leaned back into the car and grabbed the 3 massive bags of burgers. Are you getting picked up here?" I asked, my voice cracking. "Is there a cabin or something?" He paused, looking at me one last time. A smile spread across his face, but it was wrong. It was too wide, stretching the pale skin until it looked like it might tear. "No cabin, just friends. They love the salt, they love the grease. It keeps them docile." He turned away from the car and walked to the edge of the light. He began opening the bags. He wasn't eating the burgers. He was throwing them. He launched cheeseburger after cheeseburger into the pitch-black darkness between the trees, and things began to emerge into the edge of my headlights to catch them. I didn't see them clearly. I thank God every day that I didn't see them clearly. I saw pale, elongated limbs that had too many joints. I saw eyes reflecting the light, low to the ground, too wide apart. I heard wet, tearing sounds, gulping sounds. It wasn't bears, it wasn't raccoons. These things were fast, snatching the burgers from the air before they hit the ground. There were so many of them. Elias was laughing now, a deep, booming laugh as he emptied the bags, feeding the darkness like a twisted zookeeper. Terror finally overrode my paralysis. I didn't wait for him to finish. I didn't wait for my 5-star rating. I slammed the car into reverse, tires spinning wildly on the loose dirt, kicking up rocks. I swung the car around, my headlights briefly sweeping across the scene one last time. Elias was standing there, empty bags at his feet, surrounded by shifting shapes and shadows. He was waving at me. I drove faster than I ever have in my life. I didn't breathe until I hit paved roads and saw streetlights again. I went home, stripped off my clothes, and scrubbed my skin until it was raw, trying to get the smell of ozone and cheeseburgers off me. I never drove rideshare again. I sold the car a week later. The $300 he gave me sits in an envelope in my drawer. I'm too scared to spend it. I don't know what Elias was, and I don't know what lives in those woods outside the city. But sometimes, when the wind blows from the west late at night, I swear I can smell McDonald's, and I know they are feeding again.